Today is the third in a series of 6 interviews when we invite people to join me and talk about their journey of faith here in Jennymount and their hope for the future. The reasoning for these interviews is to create a visual record presentation which can be used for future celebrations, much like the photo display in the foyer for the 120th celebrations. In our calendar for March, the theme is Hope Helps Endure Testing. What we see is an open Bible and members of our prayer ministry team who faithfully pray on behalf of others. Today I am joined by 2 of those members, Anne and Stanley. Welcome, Anne. Welcome, Stanley. This is going to be pretty painless. My first question, can you give us a brief outline of your journey and experience in this place and elsewhere?
Right. Well, I was born and brought up in the Antrim Road, near the Cliftonville Road area. And when I was a teenager, we moved to East Belfast because Mum and Dad were offered a house over there. And until we went there, I went and worshipped in Carlisle Memorial. But then, of course, I was only young. And then when we went to East Belfast, we found Knockbreda Church, and we attended there quite regularly. And then when I met John, my husband, he lived in this side of the town, and we got a house here. And but it took a few years to come across Jennymount Church, and when we did, then we made our family here, and we worshipped here in Jennymount then, after that then, until now.
That's great, Anne. How many years would that be, Anne, Jennymount?
Well, it was just before, I was just before Neil was born. Yeah, so he was born in 1976.
Okay.
So I've been here round about then.
It's practically 50 years then?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stanley?
My journey of faith started 61 years ago at a commitment I made in Antrim Road Baptist. I went to see Pastor William Mungot, who wrote about Torture for Christ. So just in case people are curious, I was 15. And that's when my journey began. So I'm on the road 61 years.
Very good. But unlike, well, Anne's had a few churches, you've had a few churches.
Oh, I have a few churches. I was brought up in Jennymount Memorial Presbyterian on the Serpentine Road. That was my home church. I often thought the Lord was calling me, but again, it's one of those situations you have to wait to know what the Lord wants. And the Lord called me to go across the M2 bridge to Rathcoole. That was an immense step by me, but a step a lot of people couldn't accept. If I said I was going abroad, fine, but I went to Rathcoole. From there, I went to White Abbey. I've always been very involved in Boys Brigade as captain in Rathcoole in White Abbey, and I was the national training officer, etc. So it was all in that. So I was an ordained elder, etc. from I think it was about 22. So it's been an interesting journey. It's been a difficult journey sometimes, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
But you saved the best. You saved the best for the last.
Yes, Mum died in August 2011, and I thought the Lord was calling me somewhere else. I had two periods where I worked for the church in China. And whilst in Hong Kong, I was assigned to the Methodist Church of China. And that was a great experience. I went along on Sundays, and sometimes I hadn't a clue what was going on, but it was worshipping the Lord. And then I went back again and spent time in Taiwan. I then travelled up to mainland China to link up with some of the students who were in Jordanstown University, and just following up on their journey. And that was an experience, but again, it made me who. But after Mum died, I just, where do you want me to be, Lord? And I looked at all these websites and all these churches, and the one thing at Jennymount was the emphasis on prayer. Billy and Mary had the work started, and the drop-in centre and all the rest of it. So I said, Lord, if this is where you want me to be, I'll go. So went along one Sunday, scared the wits out of a lot of people, but haven't moved from the seat since.
Very good. Very good. My second question, I'll ask Anne this. At what part in your journey did you make a personal commitment to follow Jesus? And tell us about your spiritual journey.
Well, I was brought up in a Christian home. Well, my mummy at first, then my daddy came along afterwards. But I didn't make a commitment for a while until later on in life, because marriage and the family, bringing up the children and that got in the way. And so that took over. But then I wasn't so sure about a commitment. But one morning at a communion service here in Jennymount, the invitation was given, and I just was able to move out of this church, and that's when I went up to the communion rail and made the commitment then, and that was about 83, 84. And it just had David. So I just could not move that day. So I had to make that, and then I just,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And Stanley, I think you've already answered that question.
Yeah.
Basically, your spiritual journey began a long, long time ago at a very early age. And was it something that minister or pastor said, or?
Well, my father always talked about the Sunday papers, the sewers of the week. We had these great papers, News of the World, the People, and all the scandals. But Pastor Wimbrandt's book was serialised in one of these papers. And though Dad wouldn't buy the paper, it came from next door. So it was handed in, and I started reading. And that was what influenced me. I want to go and hear this man and hear the story. And that's what happened.
That's great, Stanley. My third. Again, question 3 is who or what had an influence in making that step of commitment? So we've already heard from Stanley, and we've already heard that communion service many, many years ago. And was it something that the minister said that day that made you?
Well, I think so. Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yes, and that's what I've written down here. And of course, the minister of that time.
And who was that? Was it
I think I was
Sam
thinking,
Clemens?
I don't know.
No.
It was either Sam or Ken.
Oh, right.
One of the two.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
either one of them.
That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Question 4. Have you found that Jennymount has fostered a sense of belonging And I have a second part for that question. What opportunities have you found over the years to serve others within and outside of the church? Stanley, have you felt?
I felt very drawn here. I was a fish out of water. But one instance, about 2-3 weeks in, was communion. And we Presbyterians didn't come to the rail. So I thought, I'll just sit here and do nothing in case I do something that's not right. And Jim and Alice Hunter come up with us, love. Meant an awful lot.
Yeah. No, that's great, Stanley.
Because it was acceptance, no questions asked, nothing. Come with us, love. And that has had a huge impact on me. And I found myself as part of the work here. About a month in, a bit of paper came round. We want volunteers. I'm not ready to volunteer. But on it said, could you read in church? I said, I'll do that. And I often sit on a Saturday night getting the text, can you read tomorrow? That's fine. That's a privilege. That's an honour.
Okay, thank you, Stanley. Anne?
Yes, well, I was good with that. I was warmly welcomed here when I came to Jennymount and accepted as well. So I was, and about finding the years to serve others within the church, I found this to be a listening ear, and not to condemn or judge, and so to be a leader, which I have been in different groups, like MWI, and then the ladies group that we're in at the moment, and also then to be just to show, let me show others when I'm out and about, you know what I mean, how I live my life, so that they could see Jesus in me, you know, which I hope that there happens. And it did happen one time, you know, my husband was out for a walk one day, and with the dog, we had dogs, and when he came back, he says, there's a fellow up the street there, and he turned around and he asked me, he says, is your wife a Christian? And he says, yes, she is. So I must have been doing something, or, you know what I mean, you know, that brought that into his mind, you know.
That's
so,
great, Anne.
Yeah.
I'll just add something to Anne's story that she hasn't elaborated on, and I'm sure there's many watching this on WhatsApp would remember the two Annes performing at various gatherings, dressing up, singing, dancing. So that was an opportunity.
It was, yes, indeed.
Good.
And give everybody a laugh.
Yeah, because sometimes people say the Christian life is dull.
Yeah,
But
indeed, that's right. You know,
that was
and we can have fun just
Yeah,
as much as
yeah,
anybody else,
yeah,
but in a good way.
yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yes.
Question 5. For both of you, prayer plays a significant part of your Christian life. Can you tell me how it impacts on your daily life, individually, and then collectively, when you meet with others? Stanley.
It's a fundamental part of the Christian life. And again, we know it was the one question or the one thing the disciples asked Jesus, teach us to pray. So that was to tell you it's not easy. And you have to order your life in such a way you have your quiet time and your times with the Lord, and bring your prayers and petitions. I've gone through a period of ill health, and the prayer is central. You know, that we sang this morning, I do not know what lies ahead, the way I cannot see. But then I have somebody who's going on that journey with me and carries me through. So prayer is vital and so important, and just taking that time, spending that time, and just reflecting. And it's not a wish list. Lord, give me this, give me that. It's not that. And I can assure you, there's times the Lord has snapped back at me. Catch yourself on, big fella. But you need that focus. When the word is preached, make it for me. What are you telling me, Lord? What do you want me to do? And I think it's so, so vital. And again, it's a joy to come on a Wednesday night. And we spend a lot of time chatter and talk about things that concern us. But the devotional room, the Lord is there, very much there. And we can vent, give him it all out, and he takes our petitions and he will answer his way and in his time. So I think it is vital that when we come to, and we are encouraged to pray for each other and others. And it's great walking through the church on Sunday morning, people come and ask me, "Come on, will you pray for?" That's the joy. That's it.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, no, I just find in my daily life that when I pray, it helps me to unburden things, and also it's left with God, and then in His time, He will answer it, and then we learn how to pray with others and find the right words to say in our prayers, because we're helping each other. And then I find these couple of wee quotes. It says, prayer is born out of a relationship with God, and it is coming and asking for help. And that's what we do.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's great. Question 6. How do you experience God's presence in your life? And I suppose both of you would home in on your prayer life.
Prayer life
Yeah.
and a personal relationship. You need to build a relationship. It's like any relationship with people, we have our moments. And we can do that with the Lord as well. We can have I know better, we can have our hissy fits and so forth. But Christ is there. He never goes away. And there's times when you do mess up and He pulls you back. So it's that whole personal experience, and just waiting on Him.
Okay, Anne?
Yeah. Well, I find God's presence in my life through prayer and reading His Word, which I do every day, because it helps getting the answers to your prayers whenever God's will is to give you that answers. And also it's help for others and to give an encouragement as well. So I just find that in my presence with God, encouragement as well.
Great. Coming near the end, 2 more questions. What qualities would you say are important for a Christian to have?
Back to what we sang this morning. Recognize Christ lives in you.
Okay.
Think about it. As Alan says, it's your walk, it's how you approach other people, how you deal with other people. I have my moments. There's a certain president gets my goat, and I have my rants. But you
Yes.
come back, Christ living in you.
Okay. Okay. We'll not mention the president's name in case we get
Oh
shut
gosh,
down.
no. Oh no, that would be too much.
Anne?
Yes. Well, I think for a Christian to have, I think there's to be compassion, love, forgiveness, and listening. And then for a quiet time so that we can pray and read God's word and, have that hope.
Okay. Last question. Finally, what is your hope for yourself and for Jennymount? And we'll go with Anne.
All right, okay. Well, I would like to have that hope for Jennymount that it would keep going from strength to strength and that our congregation would grow, especially with the young people. We need a lot of more young people. And my hope too is that I can keep doing the best that I can do in all the meetings and activities that I'm in, that is, is capable for me to do so, and that I can show others that Christ lives in me.
Stanley, the last word goes to Stanley.
My hope is like Anne, that our congregation would grow.
Mm-hmm.
The recognition, I don't have all the answers, people, because if you go through Scripture, Christ chose the unlikely. But look what he did. So take me with all my foibles and all my bits and bobs and make me. It's like the prodigal son. He asked his father for his inheritance, but then he had to come back and make me. And that's what we should be saying to Christ. Make me into one of your servants and give me the ability to advance and to continue to advance your kingdom. Because again, we don't know. In his will and what we should do, but we constantly go to prayer and he will reveal, and then we just continue on. And it might be coming on Sunday and say, how are you? Nice to see you and all that. Just be consistent. Christ lives in you.
Okay. Stanley, Anne, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
we are very blessed by what you have said today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.